Welcome back, people. It is episode 15 of season 4 of the Taxi Squad podcast. We thank you for coming back on this lovely Thursday. We are recording this on April 10th, which is in fact a Wednesday. So if anything crazy happens overnight, sorry we didn't get to it. Before we get started, I'd like to remind all of you beautiful people to hit that subscribe button, share it to your friends, and maybe leave us a little, review. Maybe you hate it, maybe you love it. I don't know. But today we got a fair amount to get into. Strange and unusual topics. Golf is back, primarily the Masters. And we do have some NFL, UFL talk to get into, the NBA, and of course, the meat and potatoes, the NCAA tournament breakdown. It's the Taxi Squad podcast.
Come on, everybody, celebrate. The Taxi Squad is here today. So lose the blues, kick back and relax for now. They talk about sports and stupid stuff. They're probably wrong and it might get rough. So welcome back, it's the Taxi Squad, yeah.
Vince, how the hell are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's Masters week. We're here. I love this week. It's
Golf.
the best week in golf. It's gorgeous. All this stuff. You got guys having too much sex. You got guys having no sex. It's a great time. That's what the Masters is here for.
Vince, I mean, I know you're rocking your Masters hat today, which
Yeah.
if anybody's watching this, Vince has a pretty dope Masters hat on. It's
Yeah.
green.
Got a rope
But what
on
is
it.
sex? What is sex? I'm sorry to cut you off, but what does sex have to do with golf? I don't
Well,
get
this is
it.
interesting because we're going to talk about that right now. To start off, we're a little strange and unusuals today. Tiger Woods, no sex to get ready for the Masters. He's abstaining
Really?
from sexual intercourse. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea because the Tiger Woods that we know when he was winning was dogging. So part of me feels
I mean,
like, am I right? Like, come on. Like the whole
yeah, Tiger was dicking him down back in the day, man. I mean, he was laying.
Supposedly.
He was a pipe fitter on that golf course. He was laying pipe.
We
If that
learned
makes sense.
that. We learned that after the whole, golf club debacle and the cheating scandals and all of that. Like, that Tiger Woods is out there taking care of business. He is at an advanced stage. He's supposedly been playing really well in his practice round, so maybe there is something to this. I don't think he's going to win the Masters by any means today, or this
Nobody
week rather.
knows.
But hey, man, food for thought.
Well, if he's not blowing loads and he's got it all pent up, he's got to get that release somewhere, And I mean, hey,
True.
we are a big fan of Tiger on this podcast, whole phase and all, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Love
we've been riding with Tiger for many years. And I'm not going to hate on him. Hey, if he's abstaining from that, to the words of Mick and Rocky, women weaken legs. So with that, he could be taking that route.
We're about to learn. We hear that a lot, actually, with different athletes. Like, oh, I'm getting ready for the Super Bowl, or I'm getting ready for a fight. This happens a lot in the fight game, like the UFC. You hear a lot of guys. Like,
Well-
yeah, I get the testosterone going. But I think your point, which is what I'm going to make as well, it's like they're also fighting each other, and you could be an angry little elf and get out there and start beating ass. But if you're going out there to hit balls, like maybe you should have less in your balls, if you will.
I don't know if it could help you focus, but then it maybe couldn't, because then you got all that pent up,
Right.
and you could have the wrong things on the brain. You're on hole 14, games on the line, and you're thinking of booties, and titties.
Right. Yeah.
So
you got a
it just
100-foot
could be
chip.
totally, yeah.
You're
your
one
mind could-
stroke off, and all you can think about is T's and A's, dude. Like that's
Yeah,
the
it's like
issue.
you're one stroke off and you're thinking about stroking one off. And then your brain, see, Vince, there's so many wonderful golf analogies here
It's
that
bad.
we could bring to this. It's really great. Do we just want to
Get in the
run
hole.
down?
Like all the shit. I usually when I'm
Oh,
going
yeah.
golfing with my buddies, it's like we almost have like a rule where it's like, hey, anything going on with golf, like it's gonna be inherently sexual. So we can make the joke, but in reality, like it just is what it is, man.
Could we start? Could we make like some top 10 golf jokes, sexual innuendos? Like,
You love
you know,
getting the hole. You love getting the hole. That's always a good
okay,
one.
get in the hole's a great one.
Let's see
Um,
here. Let's see here.
we could
Might
hear. We
take
could
some
think about
thinking. It's the off
really,
season.
really strong strokes. You'd
Yeah.
say a strong stroke,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. That was a good stroke.
Um,
Or stroke
you could,
play. Stroke play is always a fun one. What are we playing today? Stroke play. It's like, oh yeah, boys. Is that what we're doing
are
today?
we having a little stroke play action?
Could be.
Um, what
I, dude, there's a
we
lot.
could
I might
say
have to make a conducive list. I might have to post a list because there's a lot of
I
them.
I I have a new one. Are we
Okay.
ready?
Yep.
Tickling the green can
Ooh.
mean multiple things. Yeah, that ball just laid up there. I'm tickling the green,
I
boys.
like that.
You know, you could just. I mean, that's a good one. I mean, maybe. Just saying. Maybe we're out
Tickle
here.
the green.
Golf
Well,
podcast.
what's
What do we
the
know?
green? What's the green in the sex analogy?
Well, it could be many things. You know, the green in theory could be. I don't, Vince. I could take this many very dark directions. It's just how far down the rabbit hole do you want me to go?
Someone named Sangan3 5 years ago on Reddit said, "What could possibly be sexual about stroking little white balls around in public?" So, I
Shout
think
out to that guy on Reddit.
grip down a couple of inches of the shaft. That's a good one.
Yeah, grip
That's
down on
a
the shaft and really get that stroke off. You know.
and also, what's a good score in golf? 69.
Oh, are you done? No, it's true.
No,
That's that's the best score you could probably have, Vince.
that's better than I'll ever shoot. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of them. I think, yeah, I might make a conducive list and just read them off next week after we figure out who wins this shit.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it. So, Vince, tell us a little bit about the Masters. Of course, the big story last year is Vince went to the fucking Masters. So,
Yeah, man.
leading into this week, what should we be excited about?
Couple cool things. First, I don't know if you saw the Eclipse sunglasses. You see those?
I mean, I know that there was a solar eclipse. I'm very
Yeah.
glad everybody survived it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were like, "Today's the day Jesus
I
comes
was
back." It's like, do you
I
think he'd
watched this
announce
and
it?
it's like, sweet Jesus Christ. There's this lady like, oh my God, Jesus. And it was like in Austin and you could see like the sun go over and she's like, oh my God, Joseph and Mary. And I was like, oh my God, do you think she's going to die? It was very cool though. I think we kind of brushed over it, but I found it very cool. You couldn't really see it by you, could you?
No, I didn't really look up, but I mean, it looked just shady for a little bit, and then it passed. But yeah, no, I mean, you
Oh,
couldn't see
brother,
it.
I
I
was
wasn't.
staring
I
at the
saw.
sun.
Oh,
I was
really? Are
staring
you
right
looking
at
for
it.
that? Are you
You
just
could
looking
see it
for
in
that word
Chicago.
comp?
It's not totality or whatever the hell they call it, but you could see it in Chicago because there was no clouds in the sky. So it was really cool, but like the Texas ones were insane. Enough about the eclipse. Let's talk about the Masters tournament that started this week. The eclipse glasses that they had were branded Masters glasses. So they had like the little logo, this logo on the side. You got to assume it's what, like $30 for them, $40 for those things. Like probably
Oh,
probably $1 to make them and $30 to buy them. I'm sure.
yeah. If it's branded the Masters, it's got to be an arm and a leg because
Yeah,
that's what they do at these things. But then again, I mean, probably pretty cool to be on the greens of the Masters and look up. I mean,
yeah.
it's
It
got
had to be
it's
a
got to be
sight to see.
special.
It is,
Yeah.
like I said last year, adult Disneyland. That's what it is. I would have probably bought it and bought them. I spent a lot of money at that merch shop for sure, so I wouldn't blame anybody for buying them. But it is like it's golf Super Bowl essentially. You know, like people that don't
Yeah.
watch golf are like, I'm gonna watch the Masters, and like that's the beauty of it. It is like you can get a little disenfranchised with the whole thing for sure after you like get the live shit and all that stuff, but there is something beautiful and simple about Augusta National every year. You just look at it and everything's beautiful and no one's on their phones. It's like going back like 15 years. It's kind of amazing.
It's kind of nice. I'm sure it's a good thing. You're kind of forced to interact with each other. Funny how that works. Before you know it, there's going to be bars out there. It's like you got to check your phone before you go in because this is old school Back to the Future bar. But
Oh, I see what you're
I
saying. I'm like, they do that when
yeah,
you walk into the Masters.
Well, I could imagine, but that's a great idea because to the point it makes you actually talk to people.
Right.
With all of that,
Yeah.
I don't know, like how polluted can you get? Are people very, very proper and polite, unlike the Waste Management Open, which is a
Yeah.
giant frat party?
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Like it's like you can't cause a ruckus there. Like people will be like, get them out
Like,
immediately.
what if you're like super drunk guy? Will they kick you out?
Oh, they'll like grab you, throw you on a cart, and immediately pull you out. Like that kind of
Really?
deal. It's like out of sight, out of mind. Like remember when that tree fell last year?
Oh yeah, it was a random tree that just
And the
fell
tree was
like just
just gone in like a couple, like I feel like it was an hour, and then there was no signs of the tree ever being there. Like they have some crazy. I mean, obviously the landscaping is insane, but staffing's insane. This is the one thing that happens at Augusta National every year. So like, get your shit together, and they have it together. Like everything is running in full motion the whole time.
okay. So assuming they're not going to allow, too many people at the event and not scan tickets like the Waste
No,
Management Open of this past
no,
year.
you need your
Giant shit
ticket. You
show.
need to be dressed properly, regardless of the weather. Like all that shit is very much taken care of before you walk in. Like all that. It's a bit of a buttoned up affair, if you will, overall.
I love it. I love it. Very fancy. So with all of that, Vince, why don't we talk about, who's favored to win this shindig?
So right now we have Scotty Scheffler at plus 400 rather. Excuse me. Rory McIlroy's next at plus 1,000. So Scotty Scheffler is a very, very, very big favorite. One of the biggest favorites. He's been on a tear this year. His only downside has been his putting, and everybody's talked to it like ad nauseum at this point. But if he can make his putts, he's going to be good. But there's a wrinkle, Mike. There's a big
What's
wrinkle.
the wrinkle? What's the wrinkle?
Scotty Scheffler's due to have a kid any day now. His wife.
So we might have to just dip?
So he said, if my wife goes into labor, I'm out. He's just leaving.
Really? He's
Yeah.
just long gone.
And I'm like, hey, man, having a kid is beautiful, and you're going to be with him for the rest of your life, and all that's fine and dandy. But I'm also like, hey, maybe if you're in first, like, see the baby tomorrow? It sounds bad, but like if you're in first place in the Masters, dude.
He's already a fucking millionaire, dude. I mean, why does he care?
Oh, like 100 millionaire.
Yeah, so it's like at this stage of the game, it's like, oh yeah, you have your chance to win the Masters. It's like
It's
get
the
her out
Super
on
Bowl.
hole 5, and we're gonna do a live Masters birth.
Well,
Name the kid
It's
Augusta.
the Super Bowl.
It'd be beautiful.
It's essentially comparing. Like, would you leave the Super Bowl to have a kid? That's hard.
Yeah, I get
This
it, but
is the Super Bowl of golf.
it is. I guess I don't know. I hate when sports do that. By the way, because it just really chaps my ass. Because nothing is truly the Super Bowl. Nothing is really the World
You know what
Series.
I'm saying. I'm not.
I
It's not
get it.
anywhere near the Super Bowl numbers.
They say the same thing in NASCAR, buddy. They say, well, the Daytona 500 is the most important race of the season. It's like, really, it's not. It's the first race of the season.
Yeah,
But that's
Right.
about it.
I mean, this one's like, yeah, but then you're a Daytona winner. Like this
Okay.
is like you get a green jacket. Like once you're in the club,
I
you're in
know.
the club forever. And he's already in it, granted, but you gotta want to go and do it again. Come on, man.
No, of course. I understand the thought process and the green jacket and the traditions behind it.
Big.
All the Shooter McGavin stuff, Just saying that I just think they overhyped the fact that this is their Super Bowl.
Nothing's
These
the
guys are-
Super Bowl, but everybody's got their Super Bowl. It's like, would you leave an MLB game if you're going into game 6 of a 7-game series and you're tied or you're down 1? Like, would you not play?
I understand the thought process. I lean more on the side
Would
of,
you?
how many times?
It's his first kid.
If it's your first kid, I'd probably go.
You leave?
I'm not going to lie, man. It's your first kid.
Yeah,
You gotta
what if
go.
you win and then your kid's like, were you there for my birth? It's like, no, I won them fucking Masters. That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, it just depends on the kid, I guess.
Yeah.
It's all going to boil down to wife, If the wife gives you clearance, then you go.
Yeah, I don't think he has clearance. I also don't think he wants clearance. Like, it seemed like from the article, it was like they essentially made the decision. Like, that's what's going to happen. So, we'll see.
Like he's going regardless.
Yeah. He's like, if it
He's
happens,
going.
I'm
Like
out.
he's going if the kid's going.
How is he going to know?
Well, then
Because she can't call him. How is he going to know?
I could imagine he's on baby watch, so they made like a thing, and like Espen will be all over it and stuff.
Oh, sure. It's like, we're here live with Scotty Scheffler's wife mid-labor.
Baby watch.
Scott Van Pelt goes running out of like the Sports Center studio, like, Scotty, hey, your wife's in labor.
I'm sure the good old boys in Georgia will totally get it. I'm sure they'll just be fine.
They'll take care.
Let them know. They'll let them know. But so I did see John Rahm is also top 3. I believe he's
big
10 to 1.
beardy boy. Yep, won last year. Champions dinner was yesterday. All looking handsome.
What did he choose, Vince? What did he choose? What was his dinner?
Because
isn't that the deal? Like you get to choose
the
cuisine the following year if you won.
Yeah,
so
but you also have to pay for it.
I would do the most Chicago shit ever if I won the Masters. I'd be like, here's Jeans and Jude. Enjoy.
Yeah, no, like people do that, like depending on where they're from. Like a guy a couple years ago was Japanese, if I'm not mistaken, and sorry if I'm wrong. He had a whole full Japanese menu. I think Dustin Johnson did pigs in a blanket as his appetizer.
That's adorable.
It is cute. I gotta find what he had. It was pretty like middle of the road, normal stuff. But he's. I don't know if he's gonna win it this year. Just say
it's rare to see back-to-back Masters wins. It really is. It truly is. Like
it's essentially impossible unless your name is Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus. Essentially.
I always feel like it's the last round that guys just like come in last minute. It's like this guy's gonna take it.
Well, yeah, because Brooks Koepka was leading the entire tournament all the time last year, and it didn't seem to matter because at the end, Mr. Rahm took over. So who knows?
Yeah. No, I'm with it. I see what you're saying here. It's going to be a good tournament. We'll keep eyes on it. When is it over? Isn't it over by
it's over
next
on
Saturday?
Sunday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
All right. Well,
he has.
This guy's gonna be.
This is gonna be great. He has.
What's?
Don't roast me for saying all this wrong. Ibiricos, Idiazabal con trufa negra, tortilla de patatas. So that's Spanish omelet. Chistora con patata. This is crazy. He has a bunch of different Spanish foods for the tapas portion of the night, and then a salad.
You're not bougie with it.
Yeah, crab salad, and then main course is either ribeye or white. What is turbot? Is turbot a fish?
I'm assuming turbot's a fish, Vince.
Yeah, and then the dessert is a puff pastry cake with custard and chantilly cream. I'm not a waiter anymore.
My mouth is watering.
I'm sure it's delicious.
just how, Vince, and your elaborate descriptions, my mouth is literally watering.
They got chicken fritters. They got Iberian ham. They got lentil stew. That's all the tapas.
Iberico ham.
Yeah.
Iberico ham is amazing.
I've never had
to do a dinner. Got to do a Iberico tasting dinner in California last year.
Okay.
It was dynamite.
Really?
Dynamite. Yes.
Looks like I'm doing something wrong, man.
It was fan-effing-tastic. Yeah, I would do it any day, and they'd like paired wine with it. Oh, yeah. Bougie shit. Bougie.
Okay.
Bougie
they must
shit.
have enjoyed their time then. I mean, they're all rich enough where it doesn't matter, but I still think it's insane that they have to pay for it. Yeah, that seems like something the Masters makes enough money that they can pay for it.
Wait, they have to pay for it?
The player has to pay for it, yeah.
Well, these guys make more money than fucking
That's kind of where I'm at, too. But also, I'm like, if you're requiring them to pick the menu, like,
if you're Augusta, you shit money. I mean, you have to be, like, invited there.
I gave them $650 on top of my ticket price last year just on hats and towels and shit. Like, I gave them so much money.
Yeah,
and everybody's
get,
doing
like, a
that.
special Did you get a special green ball town for your green?
I got get your head out of the gutter. We're a sports show, not an OnlyFans show, Michael. No,
Hey, Taxi Squad only fans coming for you.
nope, only feet. I got towels. I got like the little lookbook. I got all those stupid little tchotchkes. So I was like, when in Rome, spend all your money on just golf apparel.
I mean, allegedly, you just show up and spend all your money on golf apparel. It's wild.
That's what you do.
Well, yeah, no, Masters season. Well, Vince, there's we started Strange and Unusual, went straight into the Masters.
Yeah.
But there's one more strange and unusual topic we got to go into here. And I guess the whole moral of this story is don't be a former NFL player and go to Starbucks on random afternoons if you're an angry little elf, okay? Because most recently, Terrell Suggs, or as many people call him T Swizzle, was charged with 2 counts of battery at a local AZ or Arizona Starbucks.
Oh,
where
near you.
In one instance, in my old backyard. In one instance, he waved a gun at a Starbucks employee for his order taking too long. And then in another event in the Starbucks order line, now separate incident, separate Starbucks,
Thank
was
God.
in the Starbucks order line and allegedly backed in to a assailant. And then these two gentlemen got in an argument. And then after that, they both got in their car quietly. And then they exchanged some pleasantries, and the T Swizzle himself, aka T Suggs, gave him the, in quote, bird. And with all of that being said, this is wrapping up our investigative journalism. He probably will not have anything stick to him. But why are you so angry at fucking Starbucks? I'm sorry. When was the last time you were angry at a Starbucks? I guess the only reason I get angry inside the Starbucks is when I have or hear loud talkers within my general vicinity.
Yeah. This is a bit of a cocktail of a couple things, I feel like. But when I'm in a Starbucks, not most things anger me. I don't get angry at mostly anything. That's not really a thing that I have in my body. I'm not like a angry guy, which I think is what made me not that good at football, because I was like, hey, dude, chill. Like we don't have to do all that.
It's like, ow, it hurt. Why did
it wasn't even like that? Like, I have a decent pain tolerance, but it's more like, why do I want to beat the shit out of this guy? Like, I don't have any ill will towards him. So I was more of a baseball guy. I was more of an analytics man myself.
Vince is a happy boy.
I think seeing all of this, it definitely, I can't say definitely, it probably has something to do with CTE, given that he hit a lot of guys with his head as the leading piece of it.
Yeah.
Also, like, a lot of people that do have it or believe that they have it talk about making decisions and doing things that they wouldn't necessarily do. And then after they do it, they're like, why did I just do that? That's what this kind of feels like. Because getting like road rage, and first off, why was he backing up in a Starbucks line?
That's what I'm confused about. There's really no explanation as to why
he's trying to leave.
Maybe he could have been trying to leave. I don't know what times of day he's getting there. He must be there for the morning rush, because I'm just saying, I never have that issue. I mean, you go to the drive-thru, it's pretty easy. So clearly he was just, had a bad day. And I don't get it. I don't understand why you're a millionaire. You're going to get a Starbucks. Chances are you drive something very nice.
Yeah.
I mean, how bad is your day? That you got to
Can't be that bad. Can't be that bad.
I don't know.
But
man.
again, like I think this is just more of a thing where it's like he didn't know what he was doing to its extent. That's what I feel like it has to be. Because other than that, it doesn't make any sense.
We're gonna pray for the guy. Chances are you're just gonna throw some money at it. It's gonna go away.
For sure.
But with all of that, just keep it together at Starbucks, people. And if you're curious to know what a loud talker is, I'm going to explain it for you.
No, they're just going to listen to you.
A loud talker. Here's the definition of a loud talker. A loud talker is an individual who feels as if they are far more important than what they are.
Yeah.
And they have headphones in, like Apple AirPods, similar to what Vince is wearing on this podcast. and they walk around public places and throw out big numbers into the world so others can hear them to make you understand how vastly important they are,
That
which
makes him so lame.
usually 9 times out of 10 is complete bullshit. But hey, Arizona is known for a bunch of them. So maybe T Suggs had an encounter with a loud
Maybe
talker.
he's
and goes, "Well,
valid,
fuck this
dude.
guy." So, I mean, he could be valid. He could be valid. Either way, those are strange, unusual topics. A lot of baseball talk ahead of
Oh,
us,
yeah.
Vince. And, kind of wrapped up the podcast last week. We went on a big rant of how we don't like the ownership group of the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah,
And
I
not
don't.
only that, but a gentleman by the name of John Fisher, who
Bad guy.
he's probably our least favorite owner in baseball right now, next to Jerry Reinsdorf.
Right.
After the show, it was announced. Yeah. After the show, it was announced that the Oakland Athletics will be leaving Oakland at the end of the 2024 season, and in moving forward, will be playing in West Sacramento at a ballpark that houses 10,000 people.
Sutter Health Park. 10,000
What
people.
in the? I mean, I guess their average attendance at a game is like 8,000 people.
Which
I
is
wonder what
not
White
the
Sox is,
fans'
right?
fault, mind you.
I'm just
idiots.
I'm just saying, West Sacramento. They're going to like a minor league ballpark. It's the equivalent if you went to like a Savannah Sandnats game or a Savannah Banana.
Bananas? Yeah, essentially. But the Bananas sell out, dude. They have a lot of people at their games.
Supposedly, it's a really good time.
I'm going to go on my soapbox again. I
Get up there.
hate John Fisher so much. I think he's such an asshole. I think he's doing the playbook that most owners do, that Jerry Reinsdorf is attempting to do right now, where it's, we're not going to spend any money on the product. We are going to field a bad baseball team and then get mad at the fans for not showing up, even though we're not spending any money. And then in doing so, it gives them reason to move the team. Why do they need to stay in Sacramento for, 3 years, including an option for a 4th year? Why do they need to go there? Is there any reasoning why Sacramento is important in this puzzle?
I'm
Or do they just
trying to
wanna
piece
get
it
out?
out. I'm trying to piece it out in my brain. I just feel as if the ownership group wants to bleed as much money out of the franchise right now as they possibly can.
Yep.
Then keep overhead costs low at a super small town and super small market. And that's it. I mean, now Sacramento, the Kings, I mean, they were fought to stay there and they kept
were
them there.
fighting to
Okay.
keep them. They were fighting to keep them
Right.
there. And now Sacramento's like, sure, we'll harbor you guys here, even though there's Oakland's doing the same shit.
I just question Rob Manfred. Like, what are you thinking?
He's
This is okay.
he's
This
answering
is
to his lackeys. That's who pays his check.
This is the fucking standard you're allowing as a commissioner of a professional league. Like, this is insane to me that it's even feasible to go, oh yeah, go ahead. I mean, there should be some sort of guidelines here. I
And now
think it's
they're-
dumb. And
They're looking at
Go ahead.
trademarks now. They're looking at trademarks to change the name of the team. It's unbelievable. Do you know how long the Athletics have been a baseball team?
once again, you get
1887
guys-
or something? 1887, they were in Philadelphia Athletics, like before the turn of the century.
well, and then they became the Kansas City Athletics, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yeah, they did the tour, just like the Braves did and stuff.
So are they trying to give them a new name?
I don't know. They just says they're looking into trademarks, but I wouldn't be surprised. They're probably going to go to Vegas and become the Las Vegas Commanders, just like Washington did, and just ruin that franchise too for a bunch of people that don't want a baseball team. It's unbelievable. It's really crazy. Like, I don't know what his expected output is going to be after, like, they move to Vegas and no one wants to go. Then what do you do? They got mad at Oakland for not spending money on a team that he won't spend money on. That's so stupid.
The ultimate goal is Las Vegas, and I just got done going to Las Vegas and hearing locals discuss their thought process about
Huge
this.
baseball
A lot
town.
of people could not a baseball town at
Yeah,
all. Nobody
who
can
fucking
give less
cares?
of a shit. Nobody can care.
Ugh.
And It's very interesting to see. Now, I would say in general public, I did see a handful of people walking around with athletics hats on, but a lot of them were
Okay.
like, just like, I don't know, 30s house moms, just like maybe
The Kelly
matching
Green
outfits.
matches
Like,
their all white like romper that they're wearing.
right.
Yeah.
Right. It matches the aloe fit that they spent a nickel for, and it just goes with the flow. But with all of that, I'm just saying I am not understanding the thought process of where baseball is right now. It's in a very delicate standpoint as a league in my
Mhm.
eyes because you're losing eyeballs, you're losing a lot of I would call potential fans to the sport for shit
Yeah.
like this because it's a very loyal fan base in general.
Yep.
Like overall there's very big markets and then small markets, but the teams themselves have loyal fan bases. You look at the White Sox, you look at the Cubs. Us White Sox fans, we don't show up unless you play well. That's kind of
Right.
our thing. And then Wrigley, it doesn't really matter because it's a beer garden and
Yeah.
pretty girls go there.
Can't confirm. One thing that pisses me off too, and I'm gonna be done talking about being pissed off after this. Actually, I won't. There's a couple things on here that I'm gonna be
I'm
pissed
mad.
off about. There's another collective bargaining agreement on the way. So
Ooh.
there's conversations right now that the union and the league are further away than they've ever been on collective bargaining. And there's a lot of things that they won't move on. So we could be in a situation where we're going to get a longer lockout than last time in a sport that has a hard enough time marketing itself. And they're letting assholes do stuff like this. Like, it's crazy. Like, I guess maybe the only argument you can make is, would you rather live in Vegas or Oakland? A lot of people would say Vegas. Outside of, hey, it's also going to be August in Vegas, and you have to, even though you're playing inside, like, you are going to be in Vegas in August, like, if you play here. So it's insane, dude.
Yeah,
It angers me.
well, it's not even about that. So to your point, collective bargaining agreement coming up soon. Baseball doesn't really shift on trying to make the game better. I guess one thing
No.
you could look at the NFL and say is like they look at rule changes consistently and they look at different ways of making the game more attractive to new eyeballs, which is what the MLB needs to take a fucking page out of that book and go, how do we do that? Yeah, the
Pitch
pitch
clock
clock
helps.
is great. Yeah, it did, but I feel as if there needs to be some things here. You need to get rid of the silly runner on second base. There are
Oh, my
certain
God.
things. Shorten the season. I think that would help greatly. I mean, I'm
Historians,
sorry.
man. You're going to get historians are going to come for you.
Fuck the historians. I mean, who wants to play baseball in Philadelphia in late October, early November?
I mean, if you're in
I
the World
mean,
Series, they do.
of
I know
course
what
they
you're
do,
saying.
but what
I
I'm
know what you're
getting
saying, though.
at
Yes. I know what you're saying.
it's like it's not like the World Series was every year as it was last year, where Texas and Arizona are going at it.
Right.
It's not like that every year. Some years, for example, like the Chicago Cleveland World Series,
That was
which
cold.
is our baseball nightmare, is fucking cold. So now maybe you start the season in March and you go to end of August and you condense it now. And you
Yeah.
make the All-Star game worth something again because that's when baseball is fun and legalize steroids. I digress.
Bring it
If
back.
they go through
Worked last
if they
time.
go through another lockout, this game might be dead.
Yeah. It's,
Be-
I mean,
because I wonder how many lockouts per capita over the past 30 years they've had. Hasn't it been 3 or 4?
per capita.
Or per decade, should I say?
Oh,
As a
okay.
franchise, as a general league,
Well,
they've locked out
they
more.
had one in 94, right? 94, 95.
Yep.
They had one, what was it, 2019? Or was it during COVID? Was it 19 or 20?
I think it was
Or
I think
18. It was in
16.
that area. I thought it was later than that. But even so, they were locked out for what was it, a month or something like that? Like, there's opportunity for this one to be locked out for half the year. And it would be feasible. And that's the thing, too. Players are fighting against the pitch clock right now for something that we're going to go over in a little bit. So even that's going to be an issue. And it's like, well, it did make the game better. So, what are we, what are you comparing? It can't be apples to apples. This isn't a good look. This is going to be a playbook that other owners are going to try. This is another one that Reinsdorf is going to try. And the player's probably going to be kind of sick of it too. So this could have really bad impact in multiple ways on these players and on the game itself. It's not going to be good.
Are baseball owners on the whole like the worst owners in sports?
Historically, yes, right?
Yeah.
Like
They're all
if you
very
talk
money
about-
hungry.
If you talk about
greedy.
Charles Comiskey, I mean, outside of Branch Rickey, like all the dudes back in 1940s, like they were all extremely racist, so that wasn't very cool. Commissioners tend to be shitty. I mean, they were afraid of winning. They would rather not have they would rather only have white people than win at all.
Well, I mean, the color barrier was, of course, a thing, but I'm just talking now just in general over the past
so
40
historically
years.
it has been. And then you move forward, and then you got Stan
Bad.
Kroenke's pretty bad. Stan Kroenke's pretty bad. He owns a lot of different teams. But
He does.
NFL, so there's some NFL owners that are kind of huge assholes. But I think on the whole, you have a lot of baseball owners that have a lot of money and like to cry poor a lot.
Well,
But
if you
also
just look at
small
Go
markets.
ahead.
There's more small markets in the MLB. So
There
that's the
are,
thing, too.
and I mean, you look at Pittsburgh, and yeah, they have a lot of talent right now, and they re-signed Reynolds, and they did all those things.
Best in the Central.
And right now, they are looking to be it, and they were really hot last year, and they might be onto something. I mean, that team was built from the ground up, but I
Yeah.
mean, year and year after first round draft picks, you hope so. And Skeen's coming up, looking like a dog.
Monster.
With all of that, I do believe though that it's an older like an older league in general as far as owners go, and there's
Good
not
old
much
boys club.
new. Yeah, it's a good old boys club, and there's not much new thinking. And overall, if you just look at it, like it's pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
And they're very, very stubborn to change, and it doesn't seem like anything is changing anytime soon. I digress. I just came into my mind because I'm thinking of like the White Sox and the Athletics and all this good shit. And if you just look at Chicago as a whole as ownership groups, like you got the McCaskies, you got the Ricketts, and you got Reinsdorf. Now, with all that, as Sox fans, I guess we could say it's like if the team was actually making you believe
Yeah.
that they like were all in on trying to put out the best overall product on the field, you would most likely see all of us be all in, and
100%.
we're with you.
Yeah.
When they, what was it, 5-6 years ago now, when they traded Sale and sold us on the reboot and their Sale and the whole thing, and okay, great, we're gonna retool and rebuild, and it's gonna be it. And Tim Anderson looked to be a stud for a while, and we're like, potential, and then it all fell on its face.
Yep. Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, I think fans are too smart these days. These aren't the days of like not knowing how much somebody's going to spend. Like you can figure out everything you want to via the internet, and you can tell, you can follow trends of why people are doing what they're doing. Like it's too clear, it's too cut and dry, and they're still trying to like act like something's happening that isn't happening. Like the majority of fans know what's happening. Jerry Reinsdorf's acting like it's the end of the world and no one's helping him, when in reality we know he's just a bad owner and he doesn't want to spend any money. But maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago, people would have been like, oh, why won't they help him? Like, but like we're not going to do that these days. It's just not gonna
Yes. Let's put it this way. If you're a Chicago listener, it goes to Cook County to vote for yes or no. 9 out of 10 people are voting no. I got news.
I'm a
because
Sox
these
fan and
guys-
I'm saying no. Why
They're
does
gonna-
the taxpayers need to pay for that shit? It's crazy.
all these billionaires crying poor. It's adorable. With that though, I do question a lot of it, and maybe there needs to be like Senate terms, for example. You can
That'd be
only
sweet.
like own the team for 30 years, and then there needs to be a public sale.
I like that idea. It's not
Wouldn't that
gonna
be cool?
yeah. Well, and this is kind of a good segue to what we have now too, because it's like you see teams with new ownership, and granted, too early to tell, but the Orioles are set up for the long run right now.
Looking good.
They're set up for the long run. They have new ownership that you assume is going to spend money because they said that they would. So if that's the case, like, we could see this team be really good for a long time and sign people to good contracts, big contracts, whatever. I'm not even saying that everybody deserves hundreds of millions of dollars all the time, but it's just at least like signing a couple people or like sticking with your core. That's going to be a big thing moving forward. And a lot of owners don't want to do that because they're old and they're stubborn and they've been in their ways for a long time. I mean, you even see that like the Yankees are spending what the Yankees always spend. The Dodgers are spending what the Dodgers always spend these days. Like, you got to make a difference up somewhere, and leaning on not going over the luxury tax to get a higher draft pick is probably not the best idea moving forward. It just isn't.
Well, you look at Baltimore, what a great team as to what they've done as far as rebuilding goes. Adley Rutschman, wow. I
Yep.
mean, that just truly incredible. And then
Monster
now,
behind the plate. Monster behind the plate.
and I don't know if he's going to catch forever because he's so athletic, but
No, he'll go first at some point.
exactly like Bryce Harper. With all of that, though, you look at this team and what they're structured to do moving
Mhm.
forward, and then they just bring up Jackson Holiday, which
Today.
I wanted
Welcome.
to talk about this with you. Your thoughts? Did he get called up too soon, or they were like, he's crushing, we got to bring him up?
He should have been called up 2 weeks ago. He should have been on the MLB roster in the beginning of the year. Okay, here's the other thing I'm going to start getting pissed off about.
Let's go, Vince. Vince is pissed today.
I am always mad at baseball, and that's because I love it more than any other sport, honestly. Like, if there's a true love sport, it's baseball for me. So seeing this shit is just brutal. Jackson Holiday gets called up today. They were playing Tony Kemp in his place. Tony Kemp can't hit the ball. Tony Kemp got DFA'd today and then posted, "Good luck out there, Jackson," like all this stuff. "I saw you when you were younger. You were great at it." He's not even mad he got DFA'd because he knew he was only going to be there for 2 weeks. Like, it was a means to an end. So they've been playing Tony Kemp, and then the argument you see right now is that, they're going up against a bunch of left-handed pitchers. It's like, so Tony Kemp's a better option than Jackson Holiday? It's fucking insane.
Well, isn't it that grace period now where you have like the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
It is, yeah.
Then
April call up, September's. That's what you get. Yeah.
So with that, they got rid of it. In the past, there was a grace period where you had to wait like 2 months before you, like Chris
That's
Bryant.
what this is, essentially. That's what this is. Yeah.
Chris Bryant was really the one that helped change all that, because when he was coming up, Boris was all pissed off and squawking, saying the MLB needed to change rules because his client should be playing in an MLB team right now and all this good shit. So, hey, good for Jackson Holiday. That team is loaded right now of young talent.
But why do we still have that rule? This is the only sport where that rule is a thing. It doesn't make any damn sense.
Well, Vince, if you do look at it, though, it is like the only league that has minor leagues. Hockey, but hockey isn't baseball. There's numerous ranks of it.
Yeah.
This
is semantics. What we're talking about right now is complete semantics. If you're going to give them it after 2 weeks, then just give them it in the beginning of the season. How many games have we seen? Like 9? What are we doing?
It's like the guy with the fishbowl and the dollar. It's like, you almost
got it. And then April 11th comes and you're like, "We've always loved you." It's like, you're such a dick.
Like, sorry.
The real crux of this whole thing, if he wins the Rookie of the Year, then they lose that extra year.
That's interesting to me. I didn't even know that rule existed.
So win the Rookie of the Year, because fuck that rule. That's what I'm saying.
He may win the Rookie of the Year.
Sure he will.
There's no doubt. I mean, he's an absolute freak of nature.
Yeah.
The kid
He's 20 years old, but he's ready to be in the MLB. There's no doubt about it.
He's a prodigy. Yeah. You got to be happy for him. Absolute dog of a baseball family. And he also has a brother who's coming through the system as well.
Yeah, he did. Again, favorite videos, regardless of the scenario, favorite videos when people get called up. And you could tell, like, based on his reaction, he was like, all right, finally, about time. Like, he knew it was coming. He's like, the minute that this 2 weeks is over, like April 11th, I'm going. Like, that's just how it's going to go. Or 10th.
To give everybody an update, Jackson Holiday is debuting in his first game against the Boston Red Sox. They are currently winning 7-5 in Boston. 2 outs left in the bottom of the 7th. He is hitting 9th, and he is an offer on the day.
1 RBI, though. So either a sac fly or a ground, something like that.
Yeah. Which is fine. I mean, hey, How cool is that, though? Can we talk about that for 3 seconds? Your first game getting called up, you're in Boston playing at
Yeah,
Fenway Park.
in
Like, how
Fenway.
fucking special is that?
That's great. I mean, he's probably going to play
Division
there a lot going forward too.
division rival, like, you gotta love it.
And he's
It's
a
just
lefty.
that's the dream. Yeah, bend one around the pesky pole.
Do it.
Do what you can, right?
Yeah.
You gotta love it. So, Vince, we didn't really touch on this last week, but
Yeah.
big topic. I've heard Jeff Passan talk about it a lot. I've heard Jesse
Passan.
Rogers talk. Passan?
Yeah.
I thought it's Passan.
No, it's less like cool than you think it is. Just straight up passing.
All right, Passan. Shout out to Jeff Passan. And then you hear guys like Jesse Rogers talking about it as well. Very interesting topics in regards to the pitch clock. A lot of people are saying it's causing many injuries in pitchers right now. UCL tears are at a alarming rate.
Elbows are going.
And if you remember a few weeks ago, we had a good friend of the show on, Ian Gardek, former MLB pitcher of 8 years, and he went through those surgeries more than once. So, might be onto something here that this is now becoming an epidemic in the sport of baseball. And I don't know what's causing it. I don't think it's
I don't know about all that. I don't know about all of that, dude.
I encourage all of our listeners to go watch an interview from Justin Verlander, if it was over the past week or two, where he breaks down in great detail how the game has changed from a pitching perspective and how guys are all launch angles now from the hitting side of the fence. And, it's all launch angles and really trying to get under the ball and drive. And with all that, pitching has developed now into this thought process of, spin rate, and velo, spin rate. It's all of it. Movement. It's very interesting. It's changed, I would say, over the past decade.
Yeah.
And I don't know. This is where I get goofy with baseball at this time because it's becoming more corporate, I guess is the best way you could put it. Because the analytics. I feel like I'm evaluating a small business right now or a large corporation. It's like EBITDA.
Yeah.
It's like I cannot handle this game becoming what it is right now.
Well, that's every sport, though, if we're being honest.
I get it, but more so in baseball, it all sparked with that Moneyball theory.
Yeah.
I just miss the days of steroid era, which was about guys just destroying baseballs.
Yeah. There's also a piece of that where, what were you, like 9 when that was going on, too?
It doesn't matter. You could talk to anybody.
Little bit, tiny bit. There's always nostalgia from when you're
Robert
a kid.
De Niro?
No.
A little bit.
Tiny bit.
A little bit, Mike.
Maybe a
little bit,
buddy.
It was a little bit.
No, it was definitely better. Everybody agrees with it. But also I think there is a little rose-colored glasses about – because I was like 6. I was like, this is amazing. But like in all actuality.
You think the kids are the same about the
No,
sport today?
but they think about that
fucking
like football. They think about that like football.
You don't remember like how jacked you would get for the home run derby?
Oh, yeah.
Like the allure of what that game or that whole competition was, and then the All-Star game meant something.
Oh, yeah.
Those
was
guys
the whole
actually
thing.
played.
Well, to get back to the pitchers getting hurt. So there's a list of them that have gotten injured in the last 48 hours. Yuri Perez, Shane Bieber, Spencer Strider, all massively important guys. Strider getting his second TJ, and he's 25. So 2 times already. Spencer Strider, who's the best pitcher, like the best young pitcher, whatever they want to call it. Shohei, Jacob deGrom, Sandy Alcantara, Robbie Ray, Shane McClanahan, Garrett Cole, Framber Valdez, and a bunch of other ones. Framber Valdez did it last night. So you have like fucking 15 premier ace pitchers getting hurt. And what you're hearing right now is pitch clock, faster pitching could be an issue. They're going to fight for that in the CBA like we were talking about. I'm more on the, hey, they're throwing max velo every time they throw the ball. So that is going to mess with your elbow. There was a surgeon guy that came out here that does TJs, and he's like, I can tell when people are throwing sweepers because like the way their arm is located because they've done it so often with the insane spin rate. And then Glasnow actually talked about it with the sunscreen and Rosin. That was what it's called. The
Yeah.
sunscreen and rosin they used to do. It's like actually like you get accustomed to doing it that way, and you need to change the way you pitch when you're done using it, when you can't use it anymore. So I think that could actually have a piece of it too.
Well, Al Leiter had a really good point many moons ago when all these allegations were coming out of pitchers using off substances like sticky tack and all of that to say
Attack.
spider tack, right?
Yeah.
To say, what if we just used a universal substance
Right.
that every pitcher could use that they like, and you have a unanimous vote between the two, and then you just level the playing field.
It's like pine tar,
Boom.
man. You should be able to use sunscreen and rosin. That's not a big deal. It was more so like the monkey grip, like what do you call it? Like the
Sunbum.
super glue.
Sunbum, the official
Sticky stuff
pitching
for
tool.
pitchers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sunbum, the
I
official.
mean, it was getting a little Wild West with it, and they cleaned it up and they got rid of it completely.
But now
and-
you're seeing all these guys over grip the baseball clearly,
yeah,
and something's going on. I don't know exactly if it's the pitch clock. Chances are, if you're rushing, it could have something to do with it. Maybe because last
but
year
that
was
has to be
30
like the
seconds, right? Last year, when they first introduced it, was 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the thought process. And I understand you want to make the game faster, but 30 seconds in between pitches would make the most sense to me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely, I guess you could put some validity to that point, but to me, it just has to be like, because you used to have guys come in and they're throwing like low 90s, and by the 5th inning, they're up to like 95. I think that's probably where you should be, but you got starters right now that already essentially ran 5 innings in the pen to get out there and throw 100 off the bat. And then, shorter amount of times that you're pitching, more guys come in later in the game. Like, I do think it's because they're going balls to the wall the minute they walk into that game too. And not having any aid in their hand. Like, might be an issue, man. That could actually fuck you up.
We need to have on a surgeon. We need to figure out who's an orthopedic surgeon and come on and talk about this.
Let me go contact all my surgeon people that I know.
I got a guy.
Nice. Let's go.
I got a surgeon guy. Well, no, I do. It may be a play. Huh. I'll make a phone call.
That'd be fun. I'd like to know.
It'd be cool to talk to a guy who does UCLs. Maybe I'll just call around Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. Hey.
Yeah.
What you thinking? Cuz?
Talk to me about Tommy John.
Talk to me about Tommy John.
Hopefully they can stay healthy, though. That's the big overlay of this.
Well, talking about staying healthy, Vince. What a segue. The White Sox cannot stay healthy.
Yeah.
If they fell on the ground, they would come up with some sort of disability at this stage of the game.
And a legitimate one, unfortunately.
The entire team is just broken.
Yeah.
Eloy Jimenez, 3 games into the season, basically.
He might be back
injured.
tomorrow, so he can get injured again.
Hooray! He'll be out in another 5 weeks because I just feel like there's something genetically wrong with that man. Either he has some soft tissue injury,
but the thing
problems.
is, it's not only him, man. Like, you got to start pointing your finger at the team because everybody's getting injured. You can't run down first base without getting an injury every game, like regardless of the player.
Now Luis Robert goes down, arguably
same thing.
Best. Was it another soft tissue injury?
It was him running to the. I don't know, but it's more so like it's always the same situation. It's running out a ground ball or running to first base or something of that nature that'll fuck you up. Moncada looks like he got shot. I texted that to you, right?
What happened to Moncada, though? I didn't even see the play.
Moncada was running to first. This happened yesterday. He was running to first on a ground ball, trying to beat it out. And then, like, probably, 1.5 feet from the base, like, he just goes down, like, poof. And you're like, what the it literally looked like it was like, poof, and then he just went down. You're like, oh, no. Like, what happened to him? And then he was just grimacing in pain, and he had to get, like, carted off. It was insane. So he's going to be out for an extended period. They don't know the exact amount of time right now. So I don't know, man. It's always the same thing. It's like the legs.
And they're not going to bring up Colson Montgomery. There's no shot
he'll get injured. Like, my takeaway is they need another training staff again. Maybe they need to pay for a better one that has, analytics, something like that. There's an issue there. and there has been an issue, and these players are cooked now. They
Andrew
fucked 'em
Vaughn
'cause
doesn't have these issues.
Andrew
I
Vaughn
don't know.
doesn't run that hard.
I think they're all giant bags of
Nope.
poop.
Don't
I
think
really
so.
do. I do, Vince. You can't defend
What do you
Eloy
want them
Jimenez.
to do if they can't run?
I just said it last week, and before you know it, Eloy got hurt.
You were
now
right.
I'm going to get hurt. And then before you know it, now it's Luis Robert. and
No,
now
that
Moncada.
Moncada injury was a real injury, dude. Like, there is something wrong with the training staff. There's something wrong with the field.
No.
There is something wrong. There has
Or
to
the-
be. This doesn't happen to everybody. You don't
Joe
just be like,
Creedy-
all right, all of us are going to give up at the same time so we can all just sit and watch the game. Like, that doesn't happen.
White Sox legend Joe Creedy had a terrible back. It was known, but that motherfucker played through everything.
Yeah,
because
he can't
was a
really
tough
walk
guy.
that well now.
I just whatever. I just think, hey, take your glory days when you can get them. Okay, I'm just saying.
I think they want to. Like, if you
paid
fuck up that
millions.
injury, but they want to make more. And that's not going to happen if your legs don't work by the time you're 29. Like, Moncada's had how many soft tissue injuries in his legs? Like,
Same
4
thing
or
with
5?
Eloy.
And he's 28?
This team just cannot stay healthy.
I mean, obviously, tear it down, rebuild it. But if they all end up going somewhere and they're all weirdly healthy for the rest of their career, you can't blame it on them.
Yeah,
Like,
you can actually blame it
the
totally on them, Vince.
No,
What the
because
fuck are you talking about?
The only comparison between all these guys leaving and not getting injured and all of them staying is the fact that they were in Chicago getting injured with the staff that we have. That's what I'm saying. They're not having I feel like what you're thinking is that they're having a happy-go-lucky little time, and they're like, yes, we all got injured, we're good. Don't think that's happening.
Are
completely.
you not, like, coherent of the fact that you're in charge of your fucking meat vessel? Like, it's not, I get it. Like, okay, the training staff, but then again, you know your fucking stretches before a game. You
Do
know
they? Are they practicing it properly?
you get paid millions of dollars.
Okay,
to
I'm
go
just
play
saying.
a fucking child's game, and you're telling me the issue of them constantly getting injured is the fault of the training staff?
Likely, yes,
shot.
because this
No
is a
shot.
one situational. Maybe they don't require it then. Because why isn't this
Require
happening?
What?
Why isn't it happening everywhere? If all of them are
It's-
just like, we're fine. Like, there
Or
has to be an
maybe-
accountability problem.
It's the group of fucking flunkies that you have on the field
If
who
the
can't
top,
stay healthy because either A, they're not taking care of themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to call fucking Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Or B, they're just genetically designed to be poor as far as how healthy they stay.
that could
because-
definitely be. Maybe the team just hasn't been researching people that are possibly able to get injured in situations like this too. Maybe they're not doing
Well-
their research.
Now, a lot of people speculate, especially with the Eloy Jimenez trade, that they knew trading him that he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
So
There's a possibility of that too. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like this doesn't happen over and over again because Eloy knows for a fact that this season is like make or break. Like, he's not getting a massive contract if he can't perform this year. Same thing with Moncada. Like, they're not going out unless they're injured. And it's either an accountability thing with the team or they knew before they got him that these guys were going to get injured, regardless, because Kopech hasn't had a great injury history either. So it's like maybe we got these guys because they were just really easily able to get injured, and they were like, all right, send them off. Like, we know how this shit's going to go.
maybe, and to your point, that's the White Sox not having an analytics department.
Why would they look into it when they can just say, fuck it, we ride?
Well, fuck it, let's ride. They had Russ Wilson there. With all of that, there is a lot of speculation right now that the White Sox didn't even want to go into this season with Pedro Grifol as their manager.
Yeah.
And there is also speculation that they wanted to fire him, but the payout's too much. So, of course, we're gonna
Yeah,
be
why would you
cheap
do
and not-
keep them? Keep them.
Yeah.
Why would you want to pay all
Yeah,
that?
just keep him. It's a mutiny. Just fucking keep him. With that being said, now there are reports that TLR, friend of the Taxi Squad podcast, friend of Chicago Mike, could be on his way back. We're pals. We're buddies. We're pals. We have a picture together.
True. That's what being friends means. Everybody got a picture with I'm great friends with. I'll count it.
Great.
I like it. Bring him on.
He's a great friend of mine. I met him once. We took a picture.
He's probably good friends with that guy. Honestly, they probably met at some long time
bet
ago.
I bet you he is. I bet you he is.
Yeah, no, I don't think Raffal's a good coach. I think when they hired him, it was a stupid decision, and I think it was because it was cheaper and Chris Getz knows the Royals. I feel like that's like half the battle, and I
Well,
feel like
Rick Hahn-
Reinsdorf,
Rick Hahn
right? But I
actually
feel like
hired
Reinsdorf knew
Raffal.
like, hey, Hahn's getting out of here. We're probably gonna hire Getz because Getz was a foregone conclusion. He was going to get hired regardless. They're probably like, bring in the Royals guy. Let's run the Royals back. It doesn't make any sense. But the problem is if they get rid of him, who are they replacing him with?
They have no. I don't know.
Ethan Katz,
TLR.
welcome. And then everybody's going to
TLR.
get injured again.
It's TLR.
Yeah, good idea. Great idea. Fuck yeah.
Hey.
Awesome.
We were above 500. We were 10 games above 500 with that old drunk fuck.
Yeah, but we massively, like, still underplayed. And now everybody's gone. How are you going to get TLR to get, Eric Fetty to pitch 7 innings of no run ball? Like, it's not going to happen.
He's around the team, Vince, and as he told me in person, we
Yep.
could surprise some people this year, which I don't.
Yeah,
believe at all.
they're surprisingly bad right now. Like, surprisingly, they're horrible. I thought they were going to be bad, but this is super bad.
Least amount of runs scored in the MLB.
Incredible.
They can't
Incredible.
hit. It's
wonderful stuff.
Robbie Grossman for MVP.
So we're buying the team, yeah?
So there is a question, Vince. So, like, how much would it cost to raise the capital to buy the team?
So if
$2
we were
billion?
to buy in 1981, when Reinsdorf did, we could get it for 19 mil, which is a lot, but it seems feasible. Now, though, they're valued at $2.05 billion. So it's good to know that Reinsdorf made $1.8 billion. No, $1.98 billion on the team. But I don't know if we're going to be able to get that. But he doesn't have any money. He only made $1.98 billion on the team.
Oh my Lord.
19 million, dude.
But he's
regardless
broke.
of
He couldn't
can't.
dare use
Regardless
an
of
ounce
inflation.
his own funds.
that's insane.
It's so silly. Okay, but the reason I ask is
GoFundMe?
like give it to the people because the White Sox have proven they just don't care. So how do we as a collective, as a fan group, work together to buy the Chicago White Sox? If you got any ideas, reach out to us on the Twitter at the Taxi Squad Podcast, either that or on the YouTube or any of the social medias. With all of that being said, Vince, should we bury the lead here?
Let's bury that lead, my friend. What's up, guys? It's your friendly neighborhood Vince here to announce to you the Taxi Squad Draft Spectacular. This year for the draft, we're doing a little bit of a giveaway to get some of those cool things right over there simply by picking the proper first 10 of the NFL draft. So, free to enter, one person. The deadline to enter in is 30 minutes before the draft on April 25th. So, essentially, you select each player from the draft, and then whoever's closest to the proper 10 gets the giveaway. Simple, easy. What you're going to have to do is follow Taxi Squad like we've been saying. So right down over in this area, right there, there's a QR code to find all of our pages. Just go on there, find the post talking about the Draft Spectacular, follow us, tag one friend, and then fill out the form that's going to be in our link. So, super easy. You fill that out. We'll reach out to the winners the next day, and you will have a chance to win some cool Taxi Squad swag because we're getting that out now. So looking forward to it. Please join. Looking forward to the draft and watch us on the day as well. Okay, back to the show. The UFL is here again, Mike. And guess what, man?
What, man?
We're at the top. We're at the top of the XFL division.
Hell yeah.
Myself a little higher, but no time to gloat. We're in the early parts of the season.
Vince, did you think when you got your random Brahmas pick for the season that you were going to be like the creme de la creme of the fucking UFL right now?
Well, if we look at history, I had the worst team possibly ever last year. So, no, I anticipated that again. It is a breath of fresh air that the Brahmas seem to be going on a defeat everybody rage right now, and I'm cool with it. We got an MVP candidate going on, followed only by AJ McCarron, your MVP. So
McCarron's a dog.
I think the wheel was being nice to us this year. I'm not gonna lie.
I think the wheel was very considerate of us this year.
Yep.
Last year was kind of a wheel of death. I got the Defenders, which
Hmm.
wasn't a terrible pick last season, but this season to have the Battlehawks, aka the
Yeah.
Battlecock, I am all about this. Um, to gain some excitement for all you people,
Yeah.
Vince and I are going to the Battlehawks. What is it? Houston Roughnecks game
Houston Roughnecks. Yeah. May 4th.
in yes, May the 4th be with you in St. Louis. The Taxi Squad podcast will be live, rolling around your local tailgate, handing out stuff. So if you want some Taxi Squad branded stuff, it's coming. And if you're local to St. Louis, we highly recommend you join us and get some gear.
We plan
Because
on
we're gonna
running
have a lot.
around the tailgates. We plan on asking people questions, giving out some free swag. So if you're in the area, if you're going to the game, come hang out. Come say hi, please.
Big St. Louis Battlehawks guys. Either way, no, I'm really excited about this level of competition we're seeing this year. I do feel like it has gotten better.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's great that they've taken the top franchises from each league and given them this ability. What I think is cool when you look at the listings, it's broken down into two leagues as the XFL and the USFL, and
Yeah.
that creates the UFL. So I wasn't really clear of that until I looked at the standings, but it's very interesting. Right now, your Brahmas lead the standings overall. And then in the USFL league, the Birmingham, I don't even know what the fuck they call them.
Stallions.
Stallions.
Yeah.
There we go. So the Stallions are doing their thing and looking good either way. But I mean, right now, this is going to be exciting. And then my Battlehawks, I mean, two very close games.
Yeah.
They lost by a point in their home opener and then won by a point in their second game.
They
So
might be a
it's-
little similar to USC because those points against there for your boys. Get that defense right is what we're going to need to do this week.
We're gonna see right now. It's not looking the greatest, but then again, it's so. I would say this about the the UFL. It's difficult to like pay attention as to like who's who. I need
Yeah.
to get the names. I know AJ McCarron. I know who he is, and then I
Yeah.
know the Destroying guy. Who,
Yeah.
by the way, their kicker fucking broke their neck.
Fractured, but yes, essentially broke his neck. Deestroying, the man we talked about last week, makes the kickoff, and as I said, athlete, fast, strong. He goes down and makes the tackle, doesn't use proper tackling form, and fractures his neck. Posts on IG afterwards, don't be like me, kids. Learn how to tackle with proper form. So at least he had some goofy thing to say about it. He's not stressing for money, I don't believe, given how big he is online. But it is kind of sad to see it because he is a fun story watching him kind of go through the whole thing. But yeah, kickers don't need a tackle. Don't need
chances. Yeah, you're a kicker. What do you?
Yeah.
What? I mean, other than Pat McAfee, when's the last time we saw a kicker lay anybody out?
Never. Like literally never. It's only Pat McAfee. And then like probably like Ray Guy or whatever in like the 80s.
Yeah, I don't think many kickers deserve or even need to touch hitting people.
No.
So
no shot.
right now, Vince, I mean, it's still early in the season.
Yep.
And we got some more weeks to go here. The season started, if it was, last week, we're on week 2, and we have a total of, what is it? It's a 9-week season. So
Yep.
the last week of the season is going to be May 31st.
Yep.
So we're going to be like basically right in the thick of it. I'm pretty jacked for this event we're attending, and I really hope that everybody chooses to come out and gets a chance to meet your local taxi squad.
Yeah, come say hi, dude. We have, before that happens though, fun little matchup coming up this weekend, Mike.
Oh yeah, isn't it on Sunday?
It's Taxi Squad Bowl. Taxi Squad Bowl on
Taxi
Sunday.
Squad UFL Bowl.
It's gonna be lit. St. Louis Battlehawks at the San Antonio Brahmas in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. Like I said before, 2 MVP candidates on both sides going head to head. Chase Garbers, my dog, my quarterback, versus AJ McCarron. Could be pretty exciting. Gonna be checking it out. Gotta get ready. Gotta learn some names before that May 4th comes around, I'll tell you.
I think AJ McCarron's he's gonna light it up.
Yeah.
I think they have a statement game here that they know they got to go out and play better defense than they have been. And then not only that, but McCarron's looking like he's about to gear up for a big game. This could be a big game for him.
He's taking care of the ball, too. 0 interceptions week 2. My guy with 1, but 3 touchdowns, 287 passing yards. So it's nice to be talking stats in football again, even if it's not the NFL.
Yeah, no, we got all the NFL talk coming for you next week, people.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to be at full swing. And then pay attention to the Draft Spectacular.
Yeah, fill that out.
You just heard about it here. And, I mean, you get an opportunity to win some pretty cool shit. I'm just saying, we're doing it. So, Vince, let's talk about your most loved sport of this time of year.
It's coming down to the wire. It's coming down to the wire. This is when it gets fun. NBA playoffs, we're about 5 games on average away, depending on the team. First things first, Giannis out for the rest of the season, which sounds insane, but out till April 20th is Giannis Antetokounmpo with the calf strain. Relieving given the other possibilities of when he went down, but they're eyeing the beginning of the playoffs to return. The Boston Celtics are routing everybody this year. The Boston Celtics are like considerably better than every other team. If you look into the West, Timberwolves and Nuggets are tied at the top of the West with 5 games to go. And they play tonight, right now. I think it starts in about 7 minutes. So that's going to essentially make up the West for now. The one thing I did want to bring up, Denver gets to play San Antonio and Memphis to finish the season. San Antonio is the worst team in the West. Memphis is the third to worst team in the West. And Minnesota gets to play Phoenix and Atlanta. Phoenix in the playoffs, and Atlanta looking at the playoffs right now. Trae Young coming back. So, kind of an interesting situation for those two teams right now.
Well, if we do look at it, I mean, Boston's going to take the East. It's over.
Do you see that? They're up like 14 games.
It's over. It's like it's not even fair. And who would have thought that Porzingis would have really been there? And then,
he was really good last year. Didn't completely surprise me, but being up 14 games is fucking insane.
You got Chicago and the fucking Atlanta Hawks competing for the final spot of the play, right?
And that's what sucks in the West is that Minnesota has to play the Hawks when the Hawks are trying to get better placement. Like, the Hawks are going to be playing their ass off. This is the point I was making. Timberwolves and Nuggets are tied right now. OKC's back 1. Phoenix and Atlanta. Phoenix wants to ideally move up and go over the Pelicans for the 6th seed. Atlanta wants to get into the play-in tournament, get a couple wins under their belt. They're both going to be playing really hard. And Denver gets 2 of the worst teams in the Western Conference that are not going to care and probably aren't going to play their really good stars. Like, Wemby's already out tonight for rest because they're not playing for anything. So, like, looks like the Nuggets are going to win the West at the end of the day because they just got ease of schedule. But yeah, no, the Celtics have been to the finals a lot. What is that, twice in 4 years, something like that? It's been them and the Heat. If they don't win it this year, like, what the fuck? Like, it just isn't going to work. Like, what are we doing here?
I don't see, unless the Nuggets repeat, I don't see anybody really touching them. They've just been so good.
Yeah, how do you?
I mean, Porzingis may have been the best offseason signing they could have had.
Here's a fun idea, though. I don't know if you've been looking at the New York Knicks recently. Giannis goes down. Knicks are back a game from Boston. They have the entire Villanova 2018 squad on their team, which is pretty sick because they did win the national championship with that team. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, the likes. Won the last 2, 1 game behind the Bucks. I kind of like the Knicks. I kind of think they're fun. Jalen Brunson is a monster, dude.
Hey, man, if Tibbs can really get it going like he can, you never know. With a Tibbs-ran team.
Yeah. Can you compete after 2 big series, though? That's always the scare with Tibbs. It's like you get far, and then everybody's gassed to shit by the end of the year.
Yeah, he's big on playing time. He always has been. And a lot of people could say that was his issue of time management when he had the Bulls and that all-star roster. So let's face it wasn't really an all-star roster. Carlos Boozer.
Hey, man, they almost beat the Cavs. Or the Heat, rather. Don't forget.
Well, their year was the year D Rose goes down. I mean, that year, if D Rose stays healthy, if you turn back the hands of time, they're winning the championship that year. That
Yeah.
like there is another plaque hoisted at the United Center.
It
So
felt divine. It felt divine. It was like
it
God was
felt too
coming
good to
down
be
and giving
true, and
us
then
one.
it was just the rest of that game against the 76ers, it was over.
You lost
And the
it.
rest of that series, it was done.
Yeah.
So with all of that, hey, the Knicks, I hope that they go far because I
Dude.
feel as if the NBA is better
Yeah.
when the Knicks are good. Same thing with the Bulls. Same thing with the Celtics. When those three right there are really good, since they're original franchises, of course,
Yeah.
the NBA is a better league, in my opinion.
It is cool that we're getting like some Pacers. We're getting some Magic this year going into the playoffs. I mean, other side, Pelicans, Thunder, Timberwolves. Like, we're getting a lot of teams that you don't necessarily get used to going to the playoffs. Clippers looking to be fully healthy. All three of their guys, I think, are a healthy scratch tonight just for rest. Like, and Luka and Kyrie clinched going to the playoffs. So if Dallas can make some noise, like, I'm excited to see like a Thunder versus Dallas series, or like somebody where
Well,
guys are running, guys are shooting. Like, that could be intense, man. Shea versus the Clippers would be crazy. Like, I'm excited, man. I'm getting pumped now.
you're getting a preview potentially of that on Sunday, Vince, because the
Yeah.
Mavericks and the Thunder play. So with that, you could see it. Thunder are a very exciting young team. Haven't watched a
Chet.
ton of work of theirs, but they're an exciting young team. They shoot the lights out. So
Chet Holmgren's the man. He might win Rookie of the Year if Victor Wembanyama wasn't. Dude, have you been seeing all these stats with that guy? Like, I know the Spurs suck, but it's like Victor Wembanyama, first guy to have this like stat line since 1947. And you're like, I think one of them was whatever, like the first or second year they brought in the 3-point line. It was like Victor Wembanyama was the first guy since 1980 whatever that had a 3-point made and 3 blocks in a game or something like that. Like something just obscene. He's going to Ohtani this shit so many times, I feel like.
what do you mean by Ohtani?
Just
break
like
more
breaking records that haven't been broken since 1922. Because
Well-
he just keeps making threes and getting blocks. Like no one has done both of those things.
He's a physical anomaly of a human being, and wait till they put some size on him and get him on
Couple
each
pounds on
cheek.
that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be a monster when it's said and done. And this is what we discussed at the draft for the NBA. He's the second coming of the next big thing in the NBA. There hasn't been something like this since like Luka or LeBron.
Yeah. And even Luka, like, what was he? Picked third technically and then traded to the Mavericks?
Yeah,
I think Marvin Bagley was one, or no, was that Ayton that was one that
Trae
year?
Young, I thought.
Trae Young went 2, and then Luka went 3, and then they swapped the picks. So, like,
Okay.
Dallas initially had Trae Young, and Atlanta had Luka. Bad trade, Atlanta. I know Trae Young's good, but bad trade, guys. What are you doing?
Yeah, Trae Young is just kind of a one-trick pony. He's really good at shooting the 3-ball.
Hey, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years ago. Lest we not forget.
COVID year? Wasn't
Maybe.
that COVID year?
Maybe. We don't
That
count
was
that.
4 years ago, Vince.
Yeah,
I mean,
time's
LeBron
a
won
flat
there.
circle. Time's a flat
LeBron
circle.
won there. You know what we didn't talk about, Vince, because it's the NBA?
What?
Fucking because we have to.
Oh, yeah.
Because why this is news, I'm still like perplexed.
I mean, it is news.
Why does anybody get excited about a kid who averages 4 points a game?
Because
his
what's the kid's
college-
name, Mike?
Bronny James.
Yeah, he's LeBron James Jr. That's why people are getting excited. If he wasn't LeBron James Jr., none of these things would be happening. But his dad is the best player of the last 20 years. So what are you going to do in that scenario? You're just going to root it up. And then LeBron, obviously saying, like, excited to see my son in the NBA, all that stuff. If I was a dad, probably would do the same shit. But then it gets overanalyzed to shit. Like, I think that he shouldn't go to the NBA. Like, obviously. He doesn't seem like an NBA player. He might have NBA defense ability because he's a good defender and he's long. But, like, outside of that, he's not able to score that well yet. He's still an undeveloped product. So keep him in college. But he might go to the NBA because his dad is LeBron James. That's the reality of it.
I hate it.
I know
think
you
it's
do, but that's
I
why
feel
it's
like
news.
old man watching Fox News would be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, so now you can get drafted in the NBA because your dad's in it?
Yes.
Turn it off.
Oh,
Turn it off.
you're acting like nepotism isn't a thing though.
Turn it off."
Nepotism's always been a thing. You think the Rockefellers are just like, I worked hard for this? Like, no, you didn't, you asshole.
They run the country. Don't
Right.
think for a second that they don't. Conspiracy plot, kid.
Conspiracy plot.
Anyways, with all that, I am going to hypothesize that I don't believe Bronny James plays in the NBA next year. I don't think he goes to the draft.
Yeah, me either.
I think he stays another year, tries to go to a better squad. Maybe he goes to a better coach.
Yeah.
I think he kind of bought into, I think he wanted to play with his buddies from AAU. And then he got there and it's like, oh, I suck.
Well, they
And
were
I
a
know-
mess, and that's why that coach is gone, and that's why Eric Musselman's in there now.
Yeah, good for that guy.
So
Either
maybe he
way,
didn't
if I
wanna,
was
like ditch the coach too or something, I'm not sure, but he should get away from where he's from and then go to an uncomfortable place and play basketball there. Like that's the best
See
thing
if
for him is to go
you
somewhere.
think UConn will take him? I think
don't know
he'd look great in blue and white.
So a lot
He
of
looked
those
great.
guys are moving on to the NBA. I think all 5 starters are going to be drafted this year, so they could use them. Maybe. I doubt it though. Dan Hurley's got quite a thing going on over there in UConn.
Fun fact about UConn: do you know that Bill Murray's kid is an assistant coach on the UConn Huskies men's basketball team?
No
Fun
idea.
fact: Chicago. There you
That's
go.
pretty cool. Speaking of the NCAA, should we hop into it?
Let's talk about it, Vince.
Hey, Johnny Calipari's out in Kentucky. John Calipari is out in Kentucky. He signs with Arkansas in a surprising deal because all of the words outside of the room where they were talking, obviously, were Calipari's going to come back for one more year. It's going to be like a kind of a how you doing, keep it moving, sayonara tour. That didn't end up happening. I think Kentucky didn't want to pay the buyout. Arkansas was offering him a lot of money. And he was kind of like, I'll just go there. You don't have to buy me out. We can move on and just be done. That's what it feels like. But his time at Kentucky was numbered for sure.
Well, hasn't he been there for over 20 years?
Yeah, a long time. And he hasn't won shit in reality. What, do you win 1 championship?
Right. And
He just had a lot of
granted, he's
NBA
been
guys.
Close. Yeah, and he's had
Yeah, but
more
not that
talent.
close, though. Overall. Like, this year he had probably the most talented, like, play-by-player team. And they got knocked out against frickin', what's his name, Golke in Oakland, because you just made every 3. So, like, you kind of just, like, there's not a lot of fire. And it's not going to work. And we'll talk about this later with UConn, but everybody on his team was freshmen that are going to leave in a year.
Well, and that's the general problem with, I'd say, college basketball as a whole right now.
These big schools, like Duke and Kentucky specifically, they're always getting good recruits, and the good recruits are always going to leave after a year.
And you have to be like, you have to question why they get all the great recruits because of their lore as a program.
Yeah.
Duke, major program. You look at Kentucky, major program. They're kind of the Ivy League, you could say, of college basketball. But
Right.
same could be said about UConn because
They call
them
them blue bloods.
Right. Blue
Yeah.
blood programs, so to
Right.
speak. But, I mean, it's not necessarily to your point. I mean, Coach K wasn't winning a ton before he left. Like, he didn't
Fraud.
win shit the last 10 years. So,
Fraud.
and a lot of people, well, I don't okay, can somebody explain to me why a lot of people hate Coach K?
I think
Like,
he's
what did that
lame.
guy ever do? Okay. But other than that,
I-
like, what's the
I hate-
reasoning behind?
Yeah, he's a
dislike?
good coach, obviously. A lot of the players like him. I don't like he's obviously very entitled. He's an old man. I don't like the going into the other locker room when his team loses to another one. He's like, I think you guys played really well today. It's like, this is what you guys got to do. It's like, you just lost to us. And then if he beats them and then going to the locker room like, you guys are really talented. Like, fuck you. Get out of here. Like, what are you doing in here? Like, I have nothing to talk to you about. He thinks
It's
he's
old
like
school.
he thinks he's a prophetic angel. It's not old school. Like, if it's old school and the opposing coach that isn't Coach K walks in, the other coach is decking him in the face. If we're talking old school, get the fuck out of my locker room. What are you doing here? Like, and it was the championship tour of just Coach K going around and everybody being like, why didn't we thank Coach K? Or the last game that he had when they lost and they were doing like the handshake line and he was making a whole tiz about it for no reason. I don't like it. He seemed like so full of himself and like, I'm the man. And he was to a point, but a little humility goes a long way. And he didn't seem like he had an inch of that.
Yeah, that's very true. That is incredibly true. Yeah,
He's a legend. I want to be clear about that. He just annoyed the
once
piss
again,
out of me.
I understand the imaging and the idea behind it, but then again, the man is a legend, and he coached, USA Olympic teams with Kobe and Shaq, and like, it's legit. I'm just
He's
saying,
good. He's great. He's a legend. Just don't stand in
Calipari
line.
though, old school greaseball, good for him. I mean, he
he
got
gets a
his
lot
way
of
out.
shit too, though. If you listen to Kentucky people, they're just like, get him out of here. Because they care about Kentucky. They don't have an NBA team. They don't care if they send guys to the NBA. They care if they win championships.
Well, there's a big battle there, though. Like the people, like either like you're a Louisville fan or you're a Kentucky fan,
Right.
So it's a big deal between UK and Louisville. The rivalry is real.
I've been to both
And
those towns. Louisville's a lot better than Lexington. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Lexington is super small, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of good distilleries there, but that's about it. And it's
Right.
about an hour outside of the city. Let's face it, on the whole, no offense, it's a good part of the Midwest, but not a place I'm going to frequent if I have to.
No
Just
interest.
saying.
Yeah.
Either way, minus drinking bourbon, which is always a great time.
I'm into
not
that.
a fun morning, but it
Right.
can be difficult. So to the point, so he takes the job at Arkansas. Now
Yeah.
this job is open at UK. Big title to have
Yeah.
in the college basketball circuit.
Yeah.
With that, who do you think gets the job? There's a lot of
A lot of
speculation right
money.
now.
A lot of prestige. We're here to
A lot of things.
A lot of things. The first thing that's going around, I want to just refute this right away. Dan Hurley, UConn. He's staying where he is.
Yeah.
We win 2 in a row. UConn's at 6 total, 2 away from Kentucky for second all time, I want to say. UCLA's got 16 or something like that. It's like how the Yankees won 27, but they've only won 1 in the last 25 years or 23 years, whatever.
Yeah.
He's not leaving, but a lot of people are saying like we'll pay him more. It's like UConn will pay him the amount that you're going to pay him anyway. Billy Donovan's an interesting one.
Bulls.
Yeah, he was good with the Thunder. He's pretty good with the Bulls, but overall, he's not a great NBA
Didn't he
head
win
coach.
2 national titles
In
at
a row?
Florida?
Last time that happened. The Joakim Noah, he had Corey Brewer. He had a couple other guys on that team that were pretty good.
Let me paint this picture. Okay. You can either be an NBA head coach and deal with all the drama and the prima donnas and these guys who, really want to play on their terms.
This is going to be wrong. I know what you're going to say, but this is going to be wrong.
No, it's not wrong at all.
Why would you want to recruit ever?
Let me finish saying what I'm
Okay.
going to say. All right?
Okay.
Take it easy.
Okay.
Okay. With all that,
Yeah.
you could choose to coach for a franchise who was once great in the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
And have players who want nothing to fucking do with that.
Yeah.
Or you can go to a program
Right.
like UK, and if you win there, granted, yes, you have to go recruit and do all that, but if you're willing to take that on, you can just move from Chicagoland, drive 6 hours,
Yeah.
and be a fucking legend immediately. If they got
Same
to the
thing
Elite Eight,
here, though. If you can win here, he's a legend too.
but at least you could go coach people who are interested in playing.
Yeah, you got to recruit them too. And every single
Fine.
year, your team's different, and you're probably not going to get a lot of transfer portal guys because it's
Okay,
Kentucky.
would you rather deal with fucking Zach LaVine?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
good.
yeah.
I'm
You have
good.
12 people instead of trying to recruit people all year long.
I'd be good
And
at
you have to
recruiting.
live in Kentucky? No
I'd be
offense to
good at
that,
rec-
but
I would be a sick recruiter.
I'm sure you
Let me go
would, but
do it.
you'd have to do it every single day, and then you got to go to
Yeah.
practice, and then you got to recruit more, and then everybody transfers if you're not that good, and then you got to rebuild your team again. That sounds horrible.
I would get that check and just be like, "It's all here. It's all here. Awesome. Thank you.
That is
Have a good day."
I think you're underestimating how fucking annoying that's got to be. It's got to be brutal every day.
When you got a couple milli plus in the bank, cuz it would.
Yeah, but
If you're
you
gonna
have
go
that
get paid
in
a
the NBA
generational
too.
coaching contract,
I'm
get
not
paid
saying that
more
he
in
shouldn't.
college.
I'm just saying, like, your commitment to the job becomes 2 times what it is now.
I just want a family.
Yeah,
Right.
he's got to change his accent. Like,
He's got to change his accent, Mike. You don't even understand how this could go.
It becomes a lot more than what he's doing now, for sure. And I don't know if he wants to do that. Because there's a
Pitino?
So Rick Pitino is my pick. I would love to see Rick Pitino go back to Kentucky. I think it'd be fun. He said he wishes that stint lasted longer. Obviously, he's had his issues. But I think it's a match made in heaven for a 71-year-old man to go to Kentucky and just phone it in for the rest of his career. Because St. John's has been pretty good. He was good at Iona. It's a match made in heaven. People are talking Brad Stevens, and it's like he's not leaving his position either. That's nice and cushy up there in Boston. Like, I think you're going to have to go the college route.
Could it be Bill Murray's kid? Maybe get Bill Murray's kid
and promote from inside, or no, promote an assistant coach from a different place.
Yeah.
Probably not. Probably not. They're going to take a guy that's proven. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like somebody coming from a team that's been, borderline, like on the line to, Sweet 16 a couple times, something like that. I'm not sure who it would be, but I could definitely see that happen. Just because you got to have some knowledge if you're going to walk into Kentucky, because that's the Lions' Den.
Yeah, I see it. They're the Tigers, Vince. So wouldn't it be the Tigers' Den? Because they're the UK Tigers.
Are they Tigers?
Oh yeah, but
I didn't even know.
You didn't know that? Oh yeah.
They just have a K on their football helmet, right?
It's a UK
Wildcats.
Oh, I knew it was close.
Okay, I was like, I don't think they're the Tigers. LSU
It had to be
my family is
semi-wildcat.
No, that's one of them. That fits within the mold, I think. I don't know what a
tiger, wildcat, whatever. Close
What
enough.
do you consider a wildcat? There's a lot of wildcats, What are they doing?
I mean, you could consider us some wildcats.
That's true. I'm a crazy cat. Damn.
Speaking of wildcats playing basketball, let's talk about the women's final, shall we? Anyways, if you were living under a rock over the past week, you would know that the women's Final Four was in full effect. And shout out to my wife. She picked the final two.
Nice.
Being Iowa and South Carolina. I thought it was a shoo-in for UConn, but that didn't happen.
Nope.
And
that's the beauty of posting online, by the way. So every time we're wrong, it's like, fuck. Like, I just said this on an online forum.
Shout out to White. In her bracket, she was 95% correct in the women's
That's crazy.
Bracket. This girl knows her college basketball.
She should have submitted that into a sweepstakes or something. She probably would be close.
She probably would be close.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. UConn gave that game away. They did give the game away to Iowa. I don't know if anybody got a chance to watch it.
Paige.
No, it was. I forget her name.
No, Paige was balling. Paige was balling.
Well, she was balling. The girl with the face mask, I forget her name, had an off-ball foul, and it was apparent. Like, she laid bow into somebody on Iowa, and then
Iowa shot 2 times the amount of foul shots that game.
Usually that's
usually
how it goes. You win at the charity strike in basketball, chances are good things are going to happen.
Didn't happen in the final, though, with them. Iowa outshot South Carolina in the final, but
they were silly shots. I mean, Caitlin Clark, don't get me wrong, she's arguably the best thing to happen to women's college basketball ever. Next to Diana Taurasi and the rest of them. But
I think it's got to be Caitlin Clark, though. Just the amount of what do they have? 18 mil. Watch it.
Let's face it, Vince. We're fucking talking about women's college basketball.
Yeah.
On the podcast, which is
I love
like
it.
a first for us. So
I love
all that, we support all the women. If you're listening to this, thank you. But truly, I mean, she is monumental in this in this business. So yeah, she'll go. Vince has a crush on her, by the way.
I think she's pretty. South Carolina beats Iowa, undefeated season. They're 167-9 in the last 5 years, and they're 77-3 in conference play. That is so insane. Like, they're so good, and obviously the conversation was about Iowa. But they went undefeated. Awesome story. Dawn Staley, after the game, shouts out Caitlin Clark, saying she's been good for the game. I think that's a noble move, man, because you got a lot of people going around right now saying, like, Caitlin Clark's getting too much hype. This might be, like, smoke and mirrors the minute she gets to the WNBA. Diana Taurasi, speaking of, who you can make the argument is the best ever. I'm always a Lisa Leslie fan, but Diana
Sue
Taurasi
Bird.
is so amazing. Sue Bird, too. She said players are going to come for her at the next level. A lot of people took that as a slight. I kind of take that as a compliment, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of players are going to come for you, like, you're going to learn, blah, blah, blah. But the only time you would say that about somebody is when there's actually a threat, you know? Like, she's coming in and she's going to start making shit. I mean, this is what happened with Steph. Like, Caitlin Clark shot more three-pointers in college than Steph Curry did and made them. So, like, she goes to the WNBA game and she just starts cashing from everywhere. That'd be insane.
I just really couldn't stand all the people talking like, oh, well, what was it? It's like, oh, well, she could play in the NBA. It's like,
No, she can't.
no, she can't.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
That's
She
always
doesn't-
and that's the thing. It's nothing to slight them. Like, not
No.
at all. It's nothing to slight her. It's just like the reality of the fucking situation is like you're gonna get trampled. There's no way it's gonna work. Like, dudes are just long and strong and big, and it's just not gonna work out for you. That's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, she'd get eaten. So the Big Three offered her a contract, which I thought
Yep.
was very interesting, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think she'll
No.
go. She'll be the first pick, and I think she's going to Indiana.
Indiana, yeah. She'll fit right
There you
in,
go.
man.
Well, she's close to home. There you
She's
have
an
it.
Iowa girl, yeah. She'll fit right in.
Yeah, perfect. All right, let's talk about the male tournament because
UConn!
this was the most just whatever game ever.
UConn's so good.
I mean, it was close the first
Half,
8
maybe,
minutes,
yeah.
and then
What'd they
just-
do? End of the half, it's like 36-30, but you knew it was kind of coming.
Oh, you knew they were coming.
Yeah.
You knew they were going to make some halftime adjustments, and it was over.
Yeah. It was the conversations about UConn being the best ever, and there's a reason for that. That's it. It was Al Horford was on that Florida team. First time since 2005 to 2007. There's been a repeat, like we said. UConn, and this is interesting. If you like stats, this is interesting. Do you know what Ken Palm is? You ever heard of it?
Yeah.
So Ken Palm is like a analytics-based place that essentially lists people. So you'll hear Ken Palm with like baseball, where it's like, oh, the Sox are going to finish with this record, and it's usually pretty damn close, just based on what they think is going to happen in the season.
Okay.
Ken Palm also pulls stats from after the season comparing teams. So they have a thing called adjusted efficiency margin, which is like WAR in baseball, and
Mhm.
the more positive, the better. It takes offense efficiency minus defense efficiency, and it gives you an average of how you would do against everybody, like every team, the most average team. So that's in a nutshell. You can look into it if you want to. But UConn this year is the highest, only behind Duke. So they had 36.43. Duke had 37.32, and they lost to UConn in the title game in 2001. Those are the only two teams. So they're the most efficient team that's ever won a national championship, ever. They have five starters that will be drafted this year, and they're all older, which is more rare where you get like a higher drafted guy that are, juniors, seniors. Both starting guards got an extra year because of COVID, so their 4-year eligibility done. And they had a 7-2 monster in the middle that sort of kind of kept Edie down. So you look at that, most efficient, deepest team you could think of. They had guys top to bottom, and that's why they weren't getting gassed when Purdue's like, trying their best to make it happen.
Purdue couldn't, hit water if they fell out of a boat. I mean, for real, they were shooting terribly. I don't even know what their percentage was, but it wasn't good. I watched the whole game. It was not. They just couldn't hit shots, and in that game they needed it, and they didn't have it. And Edie, to your point, he was pretty much stifled.
Yeah,
and you take that
Which
part of their
is funny
game away.
Because he did score 37, but he was still like relatively stifled. If you're comparing,
If he's the only guy scoring, and the rest of your team can't shoot, well, then the purpose of your big man, that's it. You just have to give them credit as to how, to your point, the depth, how technically sound they are as a team.
They're coached. Well,
impeccably,
very well. Yeah,
impeccably.
It was obvious that they were like, let Edie do whatever he wants, and like obviously to a point, and then cover everybody else. So Purdue played through him all year, like the entire time. And I was saying this like weeks ago, and this is what everybody's saying. It's like dump, run, pick and roll, dump. Like that's all they were doing, just feeding him the ball. And if it's not working out that well and no one else is making shots, then you're kind of screwed. So top scorer amounts was Edey with 37 for the team. Braden Smith had 12, and then the next three were 5, 4, and 2, and then no one else scored on the team. So you have, 5 guys that scored?
To my point, they couldn't shoot to save their life.
Only one guy had an assist.
Braden
Smith had 8 assists, 0 other for the rest of the team. Like, they just couldn't do anything. Like, guys were defending him, guys were rebounding. Now, inversely, UConn, 4 double-digit scorers and 6 players getting assists. All throughout,
their ball movement's outstanding. And not only that, they have great guards on that team that really get it done. And the big man in the middle,
experienced 4-year guards that know what the hell they're doing. And this goes back to the Kentucky thing. It's like, you got to have a guy that's been there for a couple of years that knows how this shit's going to happen. So you're not thrown in there and it gets hot in the streets right off the bat,
This is why I feel like the NIL could be good for guys, because it's like, hey, don't worry about making the money.
Stay. Yeah.
Stay here. We'll go win championships. You'll make your money either way, and you can stay in college longer. And enjoy that while you can, because these guys are getting into the league. How many hits of first-round draft picks have we seen in the NBA over the past decade? Not a ton.
Not a lot.
No.
The percentages say you probably won't find a good guy.
And then there's guys like Jimmy Butler who were just drafted in the late end of the first round. And
Draymond too, 2nd round draft pick, worked out for them.
Same. So you look at all this, it's definitely one of those situations where college basketball right now, it's morphs every year. I don't really pay attention until the tournament. I'm not going to lie and say like
a lot of people. I'll pay attention to my team, maybe a couple other that are good, and that's it.
Who was the big dude on NC State?
DJ Burns.
DJ Burns used the line "No Diddy" in a press interview.
I thought that was funny.
Was fucking awesome.
That's like classic. I go to college, like the jokes go quick, like everybody's on the internet. Everybody's ready to go. Like he heard that and he's like, "No Diddy, I'm doing it." Like I would never think of that. But No Diddy was so funny, dude. I was
said something oddly sexual. He's like, no Diddy on that.
No Diddy. The diddler, dude. That's so bad.
Hilarious. But they did ask him if he was interested in playing football at NC State, and he said no shot.
No. He did play football before, and he's like, then I'm playing basketball, and I like basketball. At this point, like, he's old enough, like, he wouldn't just go and play football for fun.
So, Zach Edey, where does he get drafted? This is an interesting topic.
A lot higher than we thought he was going to be.
Really?
I used to think that he wasn't an NBA talent at all. Like, I used to think he was going to have Boban Marjanovic type deal. I think that's still possible. He's not going to be able to dominate the paint like he does in college just because everybody's 7 foot in the NBA now. So that's the concern. I think someone's taken a flyer on him in the first round now. I'm not saying he's going top 10. No, he'll go like 20 to 30.
Who knows even where the Bulls draft this year?
They'll probably be like, if they lose the play-in, they'll be in the lottery. So they'll probably get somewhere within the top 14.
Chances are it's going to be somebody from Europe because that's what the NBA does now.
Hey, it's worked out for a couple teams pretty well.
It has. Well,
Nikola Jokic, 2nd round draft pick, best player in the league, so that works out.
I always feel like at this point of the year, Vince, it's like, now what the fuck do we talk about? Baseball's in full swing.
NBA playoffs, my man. NHL
we got the NBA playoffs coming. We got the NHL playoffs, which we'll touch on.
Draft.
The NFL draft. I want to reiterate this to you beautiful people. We got a competition.
Yeah.
We're going to win some shit because of it. So get into that contest. You're going to pick the top 10 picks.
Yeah.
You want to put on your Mel Kiper hat. You want to be Todd. You want to do it. He's coming back for the record.
Is he?
So he is. He's coming back.
To the ESPN broadcast?
No, the Taxi Squad podcast.
Oh, to us. I was like, is he there? Have you rehired him?
No, Mel is there. Mel is in. So with that being said, fill out the bracket. And it's not really a bracket, but fill it out. And
fill out your top 10 picks.
Sweet Taxi Squad gear. So with all that being said, We appreciate you joining as always. And if you're here this long, do the thing again. So go subscribe and all that. And then, of
Please.
course, go talk to your brother or your sister or your sibling or something. You just heard the bell there. Go and make sure you share the pod with them because that's what brothers and sisters do, Kumbaya.
True.
With all that being said, we will see you next week. This guy's about to hop on an airplane. We'll see you soon.
Peace.